Andrew Veniamin, known as Benji on the streets, was born on November 16, 1975 in Melbourne, Victoria, to Greek Cypriot immigrants. He grew up in Sunshine, a modest working-class suburb in Melbourne's west. On the surface, Benji's early life was unremarkable. He attended St. Andrew's Greek Orthodox Church in Sunshine West, where he served as an altar boy, a seemingly innocent start that offered no hint of the violent path he would eventually tread. In a twist of tragic irony, the same church would later hold his funeral, marking a full circle from innocence to infamy. Benji's upbringing may have appeared humble and routine, yet beneath the surface, forces were at work that would steer him toward Melbourne's most dangerous underworld circles. During his teenage years, Benji showed immense potential as an amateur boxer, his lean frame and quick reflexes making him a formidable opponent in the ring. He was selected for the state team, a testament to his skill and dedication. Bo Gehring, an esteemed Olympic boxing coach, took a liking to Benji and nicknamed him Whippersnapper for his speed, agility, and unbreakable spirit. His fierce fighting style became his signature, earning him respect among trainers and fighters alike. For a time, it looked as though Benji might find a future in boxing, perhaps even a ticket out of his challenging environment. However, as Benji began to brush up against Melbourne's criminal underworld, his dreams of a professional boxing career started to dim. When police officers began showing up at his gym, inquiring about his associations, his coach and gym mates were shocked, unable to reconcile the promising young fighter with the criminal rumors beginning to swirl around him. At just 17, Benji had already immersed himself in Melbourne's criminal underworld. He displayed an alarming willingness to risk everything, traits that, at his young age, made him both ambitious and reckless. In 1993, alongside a group of friends, he orchestrated a bold and audacious armed robbery. Their target was a cigarette delivery lorry in West Sunshine. They approached the lorry with a calculated brutality that left the driver shocked and powerless. They handcuffed him, blindfolded him with black tape, and forced him into the back of a van. After driving to a remote location, they unloaded boxes of cigarettes worth over 20,000 pounds into another vehicle, leaving the driver stranded. The crime was executed with a precision that belied the young age of its perpetrators and hinted at Benji's growing strategic mind and lack of mercy. Despite his youth, he had proven himself capable of orchestrating a serious crime. Shortly after, he was arrested, but he refused to reveal the names of his accomplices. Out of loyalty to his best friend, Dino Debra, he remained silent. Dino, a volatile personality known for his violent outbursts, had become a close confidant and a guiding influence in Benji's life, a relationship that would draw Benji deeper into Melbourne's criminal world. Upon his arrest, police found the stolen cigarettes stashed under Benji's bed. He was sentenced to 3 years at the Tan Detention Center for Young Offenders. But rather than rehabilitating him, his time in detention only seemed to fuel his anger and deepen his resentment toward law enforcement. During a temporary release, Benji and Dino plotted an act of retaliation. They stole the private vehicle of an off-duty police officer, drove it far from the city, and set it on fire. Inside the car, they found a diary containing contact information for officers within the Sunshine Criminal Investigation Branch. Benji, never one to shy away from confrontation, made an audacious move. He phoned one of the officers who had previously arrested him and launched into a tirade of insults and threats. This brazen act of defiance proved costly. The officer recognized Benji's voice, and it wasn't long before authorities tracked him down, pulling him back into the unforgiving cycle of arrests and detention. At 21, following his release from the detention center, Benji was undeterred by his prior run-ins with the law. In fact, his time in detention had only solidified his resolve to rise through the criminal ranks. He quickly rejoined the Sunshine Crew, a gang infamous across Melbourne's western suburbs. This gang wasn't content with petty crimes. They had expanded into drug trafficking, extortion, violent assaults, and even kidnappings. The Sunshine Crew had made a name for themselves as ruthless operators who weren't afraid to cross boundaries, and Benji found himself at home among them. With an eye for profit and a disregard for the law, he dived into drug trafficking, dealing in stolen cars, marijuana, ecstasy, steroids, and amphetamines. Each transaction, each crime, seemed to push him further from the boy who once served as an altar boy and closer to the hardened criminal he would become. In addition to drug trafficking, Benji found a profitable venture in car rebirthing, a scheme where stolen cars were given new identities and sold on the black market. Dino, his trusted friend and mentor, taught him the ropes, showing him how to transform these stolen vehicles into high-value assets. Together, they collaborated with tow truck drivers to transport the vehicles to hidden garages, where the cars would undergo the necessary modifications before being resold. This scheme was lucrative and efficient, further boosting Benji's status within the criminal network. However, Benji's involvement in crime wasn't just about financial gain. It was a path that fueled his insatiable appetite for power. As his criminal empire expanded, his boxing career took a back seat. In 1996, he briefly turned to kickboxing, perhaps seeking a disciplined outlet for his aggression. His intense fighting style earned him a reputation, but after suffering a defeat in 1997, he left the sport entirely. By this time, Benji had gained notoriety not just in the criminal world, but also as a shadowy figure in Melbourne's larger underworld, where he formed alliances with powerful figures like the infamous drug dealer Carl Williams. Carl Williams was a criminal heavyweight whose name alone commanded both respect and fear. Known for his massive profits from the illegal drug trade, Carl had built a lucrative empire and gained a reputation that Benji found irresistibly appealing. Their partnership bound them in a web of alliances, dragging them into a bloody gang war against the Carlton Crew, another formidable faction in Melbourne's criminal landscape. By 1999, Benji's involvement in violent crime had escalated dramatically. A brutal incident that shook Melbourne took place in this year. A 57-year-old man named Joseph Quadara was shot dead in a parking lot outside a Safeway supermarket, just as he was about to start his shift. The murder was suspected to be a case of mistaken identity, tied to another underworld figure. Rumors swirled that Benji had been hired for the hit, though no evidence surfaced, and no charges were ever brought against him. In May 2000, Frank Benvenuto, a major figure in Melbourne's criminal underworld, was found dead in his car, seemingly asleep. However, upon closer examination, it was clear he had been executed. Benji was once again a prime suspect, yet police struggled to gather sufficient evidence. This pattern continued to repeat. A brutal crime would unfold, Benji's name would surface, and yet he would remain untouchable. Following the tragic murder of his best friend Dino Dibra on October 14, 2000, Benji's life spiraled further into darkness. Dino was gunned down outside his home, and though police suspected the murder might have been payback within the Sunshine Crew, no formal charges were laid. The bond they shared had been as close as family, and Dino's death seemed to propel Benji deeper into a ruthless cycle of violence. Only 2 years later, another associate, Paul Kalapolitis, met a similar end, yet again with Benji's name whispered in connection, but no conclusive evidence. The feud between Carl Williams and the Carlton Crew grew bloodier in 2002, with violence becoming a common occurrence on the streets. In May, another high-profile murder took place when Victor Pierce, a known underworld figure, was killed in cold blood. During a later court case, Benji was named as the gunman, though the lack of evidence shielded him from prosecution. Police grew increasingly frustrated and tapped Benji's phone, hoping to catch him in the act or secure evidence linking him to his crimes. By late 2002, Benji had risen to the role of Carl Williams's bodyguard, a position that placed him firmly at the heart of Melbourne's criminal network. On April 15, 2003, a notorious figure named Nick the Russian Radev was ambushed and killed as he exited his car, an event that was linked to the escalating gang rivalry. Once more, Benji was rumored to be involved, yet the police could do little without solid proof. As the bloodshed escalated, law enforcement assembled a specialized task force, codenamed PNA, to tackle the surge in gang violence. Despite their efforts, the killings continued with grim regularity. Another gruesome incident occurred when the body of Mark Malia, a criminal rival, was found stuffed in a wheelie bin. A shocking and brutal murder believed to be a hit ordered by Carl Williams, with a bounty rumored at £40,000. Benji's story is one of stark contrasts, starting as an altar boy and ending as one of Melbourne's most feared criminals. His path serves as a cautionary tale of how early choices and influences can shape a life of violence, no matter the potential one holds. From his beginnings in the boxing ring to his alliances with dangerous underworld figures, Benji's journey reflects the dangerous allure of power and loyalty in a world where trust is a fleeting, deadly currency. Though he found camaraderie and purpose among Melbourne's criminal elite, his life ultimately closed in betrayal and violence. His legacy, perhaps, is a solemn reminder that the search for respect in dark places often leads to a tragic end.